There we go. We're on. Oh, that's cool. Layla made it back. Well done, love. Jenny's here. She's just sat behind the laptop. Is there? With this here. We're juggling babies, dogs, and yeah, not our house. So far so good, I think. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a good lunch. Welcome back to the For the Love of Life retreat, November 2022. On the final straight. Really enjoyed this. It's been really, really nice. Jen and I love doing retreats. We love them. So getting the opportunity to do it and having it you lot on the screen and having people listen to them afterwards, and it makes it all worthwhile. We couldn't do this. We could not do this without you lot. It would be really crap talking to an empty screen. So thank you, everybody. Zoe, you've gone above and beyond. You've got the matchsticks out. I can see that. Your eyes are propped open. But you've done it. It's a bloody marathon. Go lads, I'm proud of you. Thanks. Zoe, we really appreciate you going to that much effort for this. That's so beautiful, love. Anybody who's watching this later on, Zoe gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning because she's in Arizona. And she's been here every single session. So God bless Zoe. Thanks so much, love. And thank you, everybody who's been here, all of you. It's been so beautiful. So we've got questions, observations, and reflections. We'd love to hear what people have got. Is there anything that stood out over the 3 days? Is there anything that stood out to you that's kind of inspiring, or any questions that come up? And then at 4 p.m. UK time, we've got the fantastic tongue twister, Gabriela Maldonado, Montano, coming on. We love Gabby. And Gabby is talking about mind is always present, why you don't have to worry about any change that comes, which I think is a beautiful topic in a time of rapid change on this planet. What a beautiful topic. Thanks for that in advance to Gabriela. Yes, so questions, observations, and reflections. I'm particularly interested in what people are taking away, but if people want to ask a question, go for it. And by the way, there isn't a single wrong question. So please, 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 if there's something that's playing on your mind, please ask us. Zoe, love.
Top of the morning to y'all.
Top of the morning.
After the last session, I jotted down a few reflections and notes before I went to prepare food, because sometimes it's gone when I want to talk about it. So forgive me for just kind of reading what I saw, and then maybe we can talk about it or not. So this morning when I was listening, there was this whole weekend, such a beautiful experience of hearing the purity of truth, as you and Jenny shared. And it was almost as if there's this inner ear within our hearts that awakens when that is heard at such a deep, profound level. And it was almost as if, metaphorically speaking, you kind of pulled the curtain like the Wizard of Oz on a lot of beliefs, and the felt sense and the knowing was that is where the freedom lies, in now. And it was almost as if I jumped the boundaries of time, past and present, and was really in a state of pure grace and quiet and peace. So is that enough to see and feel and experience and see it more as the days unfold? Or did I get too wordy and in my head? Because I may have lost the feeling there in trying to convey it.
There, beautifully put. You summed it up right at the end. The moment we go to this, try and explain it, it all disappears because we've gone into this and we were actually in the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the fact that you get to have that experience, Zoe Lass, it's like, Zoe Lass, listen to my bloody Cumbrian coming out. Zoe, the fact that you get to have that experience of, you start to get a sense of that freedom within yourself. You know, you said something. It was heard at a deep and profound level. Yeah, it was. And you are that deep, profound level. You heard it. You heard it at a deep, profound level. So what you, even in your language right there, you were suggesting that you were suggesting that there are many levels to you. Even in your language, I heard it at a deep, profound level. You are, even in your language, you are speaking of depth of being beyond the ego. Because the ego can't make sense of it. The moment the ego goes to make sense of it, you just said, it all kind of vanishes. It's always there. You are that deep, profound level that he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, you see, and this is the point. This is the point. For too long, humanity has confused itself for its thoughts and feelings in ignorance of its spiritual essence, in ignorance of its deep, profound levels. I always remember having a conversation with a client. God bless her. I love this lady. I love her. She's an authoress. Very well-to-do authoress. She rang me up one day going, "Oh, Dave, I've got this massive deadline coming, blah, 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 blah. Never going to get the book done. Don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, blah, 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 blah. I need your help." And I said, don't you self-publish? Yep. Then who the hell set your deadline? Oh, me. Let's move it. I couldn't I? I would. And I remember saying to this lady, she started going on about her ego at that point. And I said to her, stop. I said, whose jumper are you wearing? And she said, mine. Yeah, yours. Okay. Whose computer are you talking to me on? Mine. Yeah, okay, good. Whose house are you sat in? Mine. Whose car do you drive? Mine. I said, whose ego are you talking about? Mine. Whose thoughts? My thoughts. Mine. Whose feelings? Mine. Mine. I said, do you not hear it? Even in your language, you know it's not you. When you say mine to my computer, you know you're not your computer. When you say mine to my house, you know you're not your house. When you say mine to my ego, it's ownership. You know you're not your ego. You know you're not your thoughts. You know you're not your feelings. We say it in our everyday language because it's true. Always has been true, but we don't hear it.
Mm.
My sister often says we speak a language we don't understand. So I love that. I love what you're saying there, Zoe. And it's beautiful. The only thing I would say is just be grateful for whatever you experience, be grateful for it. And if you leave it alone, continues. If you analyze it, disappears. It's like when I tell my story of my awakening, I tell a complete and utter story. It was never that event. And the feeling is not in that. The feeling was in the experience.
Yeah.
Experience, the experience isn't a word. The words are too late. Words are too late. I love what you just shared, love, and thank you so much.
I love that you opened your home and your hearts to us. Thank you so much. And
We haven't. We've opened up Jenny's auntie's home.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
They're not here to thank, but I'll pass it on. Thanks, Zoe, love. Bless you. Hiya, Baba. Yep.
Hey.
Chicken. Chicken. Okay, anybody else? She's got this noise she makes when she sees something she loves. She goes, ooh. So cute. So cute. She sees a tortoise. She always had this little tortoise fabric from when she was born. First thing she kind of became like really kind of aware of was this, took us here. What's it? And the moment she sees it, she goes, ooh. I love it. Hey, I'm dad's, yeah, I call it dad sad. I'm dad sad. Anybody else? Well, I hope people, especially new people, are starting to get a sense that what we're talking about isn't some fanciful idea, isn't some fairy tale that we'd like to believe in. Isn't as oh no. Isn't as Linda said yesterday, how she perceived the spiritual and the human to be separate things. Almost one's a fanciful idea of being, oh, that would be so nice if that was true, the spiritual. But sadly, I'm stuck as being a human, and this is real, and this is being humans, just nothing. We hope people are starting to get a sense of what we're actually talking about is actually real. This is a spiritual reality. This is a spiritual reality. And the very spiritual that we're talking about is our very own self, the ability to create via thought, consciousness, mind, however you want to call it. It exists. It has always existed. It's powerful beyond belief. It creates everything we experience. I hope people are starting to get a sense of that. That when they join this conversation, they don't just come and listen to people. I hope people are getting a sense of, I'm not just listening to people who are kind of have this wonderful idea, but people who are hopefully hopefully I hope people are hearing that we're actually listening to something that is actually fundamentally true. You know, we're not here to tell anybody how to live a life. We're not here to give advice as to how to live a life. We're here to help people wake up from within their reality to see how it works. The reason why we don't give advice is because, in all honesty, I don't know what's best for the next person. If everybody lived a life like I live, according to my ideas, it probably wouldn't be the best running world on the planet. Best running world on the planet, see? Just like that. Yeah. The England spoken would be absolutely terrible. But everybody does know how to live their own lives because they're built for it, because they're built of it. And there are no exceptions, not one. Not one. Not one single exception anywhere, not just on Earth, but in the entire universe. If you think you are the exception to this, it's a big ass chunk of ego. It's a great big belief that one moment you see it, you realize it's actually nothing. It never was actually anything. It was a thought. So there are no exceptions. Everybody's perfect. The problem is, our problem comes when we start having ideas of what perfect looks like and contrasting, comparing ourselves to others. I know when I spent time in the psychiatric system, I was always being compared to some kind of norm. And I remember ringing up a psychiatrist when I started my community group in Kendal, because I had all these people coming bipolar, OCD, what else was there? Borderline personality disorder. And there was post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was listening to these people openly sharing about their labels. And I'm looking at these people thinking, I wish you knew you weren't that. I wish you could see that. I wish you could see how lost in belief you've become, that you even think that that you are this label. Something you didn't identify with until another human being said the words. I always remember one of my friends who has been diagnosed with schizophrenia saying, Dave, the label was so useful because the moment I got the label, I could organize my life accordingly. And I said, but do you not understand? The label can't do that. The label's just a really difficult word to spell. You organized your life. You did it. That label cannot do that to you. You did it. You had the power, not the label. You had the power to organize your life, and you always did. You just couldn't see it until you could see it. And I remember ringing up this psychiatrist and saying, look, my name's Dave. Started this group. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. But I've discovered something and I'm trying to help people. I think it'd be really useful to me if I could understand labels better, so that when I talk to people, I can I could talk to them and hopefully help them. And this man said, fire away, Dave. It was really nice, such a lovely fella, really kind, didn't judge me in the slightest. And I said to him, look, I said, when I was at college, I said, we always had we did an experiment, we always had a control there. I said, what was the control that was used when doing the experiment to come up with the result of the label? He said, I'm so sorry, Dave. I don't really understand what you mean. And I said, no, that's fair enough. I said, because I hadn't really planned this conversation. I just rung him up. I said, so sorry. I said, right. I said, like, did you kind of look at somebody and go, well, you've got your shit together, you're functioning well in the world, you know, your relationships are stable, you're financially buoyant, whatever, and therefore, you know, you are healthy and working right. And so anybody who isn't like you, there must be something wrong with them. And Dave, look, I'm so sorry. I'm struggling to understand your question. I'm like, I know, I get it, because these are really crap questions. And I just said to him, you obviously have a line for mental illness. I said, but where's your line for mental health? This would be 2014. And these were his exact words that he came back to me with. They etched themselves on my consciousness as he said it. Just went straight in. He said, Dave, it seems to me like my industry owes everybody a massive apology. This was after about 5 or 6 seconds silence. Dave, it seems to me like my industry owes everybody a massive apology, because we never work with mental health. We only ever work with mental illness. And I said, okay, if that's true, then at what point would you ever diagnose somebody as being mentally healthy? He said, we wouldn't. I understood why I spent so long in that system. People who were supposed to be helping me find mental health didn't diagnose it, didn't recognize it within their industry. They only saw flawed. I got my brother-in-law off at a rehab once, speaking to the psychologist there. I said, how do you find your job? He said, it's so difficult. So I can imagine it has its challenges. He said, Dave, it's so difficult working with broken people. It's okay. He said, I didn't even know I was broken until I started doing this work 5 years ago. I didn't know I was broken. Okay. What do you mean? He said, well, if you dig in deep enough into people, you see that everybody's actually broken. That's what he said. Jen was there. She can vouch for this. That's actually what he said. I said, wasn't really in a position, I didn't want to open up a debate. I just looked at this man. I said, do you honestly believe that? And he said, yes. How can that man help anybody find their sanity, their mental health, when he doesn't believe in it? He thinks everybody's broken. What a ridiculous place to start. What a nonsensical place to start. Oh, everybody's fucked. The best we can hope for is, well, fucked, I suppose, because we're all fucked. What a nonsensical place to start. Surely the place to start is, we're all amazing. We're all beautiful. We all have the capacity to experience all kinds of things. Surely that's the place to start. Surely the place to start is there are so many realities on this earth, each appearing real to the eye of the beholder. There is no such thing as normal. Normal doesn't exist. Just perfect creator force creating continuously through the now, via the now, which is our very selves, creating illusions that we get lost in, time, an imaginary self, thoughts and feelings. Ego. Surely that's the place to start. Surely that's the place to finish. Because in truth, in reality, that's all there is. It's all one force, playing the game through the infinite, via the infinite, which is itself. That's why it's never boring. Life's never boring. The perfection of existence. Playing a game it's not. I can't help but notice the number 1 and the letter I are the same shape. I am, as Jesus said, I am. Apparently he was crucified for saying, before Abraham, I am. And apparently people misunderstood his words. He thought he was saying, oh, before Abraham is Jesus Christ. He wasn't saying that. He was saying, before Abraham, I am forever, eternity. I am. We're all I am. But what we do is we stick a little label on the end of the I am and identify with the label. That's what he was saying. Stop identifying with the label. I am is what we are. I amness of existence. I exist. I am Dave. I am male. I'm 43 years old. I'm a father. I'm this. I'm that. 3 principles facilitator. I am an ex-tree surgeon. I am a brother. I'm a son. All these labels that we identify with as being ourselves. And Jesus was saying, scrap the label. That's all in the realm of words and communication and story. Scrap the label and you'll find the constant. And he called it the I amness of life. I am. And that is what everybody is, this I am. I and the number 1 are the same shape. I don't think that's without lack of thought. I am the one. Whoever says that statement, it's all of us. Right. Any questions? Anything anybody wants to share?
Also, I'd love to hear, it doesn't have to be from this retreat, if there's things people have seen through learning about this, or changes that they've noticed, or insights. Like, it doesn't have to be just from this last 3 days. It's amazing how when we share things that we've seen, it can really open up for other people. So if there are things that people would like to share that aren't from this 3 days, then they're also welcome to share that.
Yeah.
You see, he's got a lot to say.
Little lads.
Hear all these people. Are you busy?
She's counting. She's got maths to do.
I really enjoyed this morning. It came across as really simple, but really true, what you were saying this morning, Jenny. And just that we're making it all up, or more than believing, I'm believing what I think I see. Yeah, it's really, really good. It really rung true, and it sort of felt so tingly, like a bit exciting, like I quite fancy being challenged and seeing where that goes, and seeing, because when you were saying it was so simple and so beautiful, and then when you're in the middle of a thought storm, it's so real, so believable. And you all know that I went for a walk with Dave and Jen, and saying about being scared of something you've created. It looks so real when you believe it, and it's just that little glimmer of doubt that it's true, isn't it? And I've got that glimmer. I also can't always get my intellect around it. There's lots I'm seeing that it is made up, but then I challenge it, like, oh yeah, but what if oh, yeah, it's a little glimmer that I just want to open up. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I know that
Thanks, love.
Keith and Valda speak about it as the greatest deception of all time. It's the great illusion. You can kind of forgive us for getting, bless you, getting caught in it. And I think, that glimmer when left alone does grow. It's a bit like when we try and like make it bigger, we just get more into the intellect. And I think that's what I've loved. The times I've tried to, I can definitely, there's books that I've been drawn to, there's workshops I've gone to, and I get to speak to people, but it's almost like if you allow the space for that to grow, it will. It's not on the same schedule that we're on, but I think you've noticed it grow, like just since we've known you. And I've seen the changes and heard about them, and I do think we just start being really grateful for what we see, and yeah, more forgiving of ourselves when we get caught up. That's what Lucia thinks. Tractor shoe.
Oh,
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
And were you going to say something? I don't know.
Yeah, just basically a bit like what Jodie's just talked about. I know that sometimes Dave and yourself talk about this not being an anaesthetic for life. And I think the majority of people who come across this are looking for an anaesthetic for life. And I know that because I was one of them. And I don't know, there's a lot of people have a lot of problems and they're looking for something to rectify that and to make things better. And I was looking for all sorts to put, you know, to put me right at the beginning of all of this. It's just so blooming simple. It doesn't have to be all them things I was looking for. Now I just can't get over how easy it is to live your life and not have making all these stories up about what I was going to be doing, how other people felt about me, what I should be doing to please everybody, taking things to heart, what people were saying, and it was just so difficult. There was loads of noise, and you'd go to bed at the end of the day, and it was just, you were awake all night worrying about what people were saying about you, and, you know, caring for Marsh and everything, and was I doing it right, and no, I'm going to let them down. I only just wish I knew what I knew now, because it is so damn simple. You know, obviously I get all the emotions and everything, and now I laugh at myself at the end of the day. You know, sometimes I go to bed and I'm cursing myself, but I know, and I'm laughing because I know that maybe tomorrow I'm going to wake up a total different person, and anything I'm feeling, all the emotions that I do get are okay, because it's just part of life and there's nothing to read into it. It's just what I'm feeling, and I know it will pass. And I just can't believe how easy it is. That's the people who I speak to about, you know, got all of their problems and everything. And you can see it in them. You can see that they're all okay. But I just want to take them back. And when I try and speak to them about it or how they're feeling, I just think it doesn't come across right, you know. Because I'm the one who's getting really like into their story, but can see that they can easily come out of their story, you know, if they're only let it all go. But anyway, it's just amazing to get to this point where I am now, to have the emotions and have the feelings, but be okay with having them emotions and them feelings, and accepting them for what they are. And I mean, I still get grumpy and everything, but you know, I do know that it's not going to last forever, and I don't pay attention to them anymore. I'm lucky to have the range of emotions that I've got, whereas Marsh now only has one emotion, and it's anger. He's got nothing else. And that's how I consider myself to be really lucky to be feeling all of these feelings, even the anxious ones. You know, I still get them. I get them quite a lot, but I know that they will pass. So it's not an anaesthetic to life, but it's a simpler way of life. So basically, that's all I wanted to say.
And that's wonderful, love.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for. I remember the first time you spoke on our community group, and David picked on you, and I don't think you'd said hello before, and then you just sat there and shared all this stuff, and we were like, "What?" And it was just, I don't know. We've just watched you change and grow and see stuff, and it's just been so wonderful. And it's never our language. It's always come from, you see that you're not just repeating things you've heard. It's always just what you've seen and how it's unfolded for you. And it's and that simplicity comes across. And I think you'll be amazed actually that you think you can't put it across when you're talking to friends, but you've got no idea what's being said. And you know, even if we are sat and we do listen to people's stories or sort of get into it a bit with them, just you knowing people are okay, that changes something in us, and that's what we take that with us wherever we go. So don't discount what you've seen and the impact you may be having just by you living from a different level of consciousness, and you living from a place of knowing you're all right and that other people are. But yeah, thank you for sharing, because
I remember when I first used to come to community group, and like under the camera I used to have my notepad and pen trying to take like notes of what was being said and everything. I'm just thinking, I can't remember. It was a waste of time, and in the end I just didn't bother with it. And it's surprising, you think, wow, that was brilliant. It's like this morning you spoke, Jen, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing, but I can't tell you what you said. I don't know, but I know something was going on in, you know. But yeah, how different it is now to, you know, how it was. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
is it 2 years ago that you came to that first retreat, or you watched the recordings?
Yeah, in November.
Wow, I think that's Kelly's for 2 years as well then. It's your first.
Yeah, and it's been on the same, yeah.
Thank you.
You're very credible, Ange. I think that's something you perhaps don't, I don't know, you might see it in yourself, but you're very credible. You're very down to earth. You are very powerful when you speak.
Oh, I don't know about that, like Dave.
It's the credibility that you carry, and the honesty. Yeah, don't underestimate. Nobody on this screen underestimate their power to help the next person, please.
I mean, I so want my Dan to hear this. You know, my Dan got loads of anxiety. Amy has too, but Dan's got a lot of anxiety, and I keep saying to him, why don't you join the community group? Come and say. And I said, I'm sure you'll hear something. He's like, oh, no, not tonight. No, I'm not going to tonight. But I really want him to hear this, and one day I will get in here, you know.
You know the quickest way?
Hmm?
You know the quickest way?
What?
Stop wanting him to hear it. Honestly, it really is. I called it foie gras when I woke up. I foie gras my family. I grabbed each one of them by the throat and I stuffed it down their neck. Quickest way to repulse anybody is that. And when eventually, you know, they could see that I was different. Eventually my sister came to something, my sister had a shift. And it's like, then they started getting interested, but that was months later. And I wanted them from day dot to understand what I discovered. Now, the easiest way is just to live your beautiful life. And people will get interested in that in their own time. Or perhaps they may ask you a question, you could answer a question. Or perhaps you could just give them a little tidbit of something when they need it. But people don't need this conversation anyway. Everybody's all right. Even in their darkness, they're okay. This conversation is just for those who are ready and want it. Because many people are really all right in their suffering. And that's where they, don't mean this in a judgmental way, but it's where they should be. It's where they're meant to be. At that point. We're all on different paths in this life. We all have our different learnings. We're all trying to dodge suffering. Running around trying our best to dodge suffering. not realizing. When you look back at your own life, look back at the hardest times and ask yourself, would you erase it? Or was it such valuable growth? I haven't really come across many people that say, yeah, I'd erase it. Many people say, yeah, I'd erase it, but they haven't really thought about the question. They just went, yeah, get rid of that. But they haven't stopped to notice the magnitude of what came from that suffering, what the positives that came from it. And would they choose to remove those positives from their lives? Kel. Silent, you're silent, love, can't hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, love.
Hi. I just wanted to say something really interesting that you and Jen said to me on after my first online retreat, which actually I'm thinking is 2 years ago, and then the first in-person one was this time last year. Is that right?
Yeah, Havergill.
Yeah. And so I'd done the one the year before online when Catherine had said, you know, I think it'd be really good for you to join this retreat. And I was going through a really terrible time and I was caught up in my thinking. Loads of stuff had happened that I really did think that it was the outside, all the things going on the outside that caused my anxiety inside. I remember just for the first time, like having been in sort of Dharma study for a long time and taking notes and studying in a certain way. And that because I have been a student in my life quite a lot, to listen to something in terms of writing it down and knowing it. And what I learned from that first retreat was how nice it was to not be going into, I didn't know what I was coming into. So there was no agenda. I had no idea what the 3 principles was. I didn't know who Sydney Banks was. I'd met you and Jen a couple of times and you both seemed really lovely. And I thought you just, you know, had a really lovely energy. And I was quite into that with people, having been around sort of in the Buddhist community for a long time. You know, you're around people who want to think about life in a certain way. I sensed that. So I felt it was familiar in that sense, that there's people trying to go into a different level of consciousness of thinking about their life. But the beauty of it was, for me, was that I just fell into a feeling that I couldn't really describe. And I was waking up and I was like almost tapping myself down for the anxiety. Where's the anxiety gone? And, you know, and the momentum that was in my search for that. Something about how the 3 principles and how you guys talk about the 3 principles woke up something in me that was sort of almost fleeting in my Buddhist practice. I'd had moments of it, but I settled into this feeling. It felt like I had permission for the first time just to be in the feeling and not try to intellectually understand something. Obviously, I still have those tendencies and I see that come out. But the beauty was I met up with you guys, I think a couple of days after the retreat. And I was saying to you, I just feel different. And you guys were saying to me, just be with it. And it was like I needed permission almost to just be with the feeling, although I was just in the feeling. And, you know, that kind of has never gone. That's all that feeling is like, even though I might get caught up in my thinking and other things have happened, definitely, but there's nothing going wrong in my outside world. It was like my outside world was all going on and I thought that was all coming in like this and affecting how I was feeling. But now I've got nothing going on outside there that's really any trouble as it was before, because I could specifically pin it on things then. But dropping into the feeling, since I allowed myself to do that, my intellect switched off. And just somehow inside me now, I believe in my own, I believe in my own well-being, which I hadn't really got before. And I think for me, the 3 principles has just been, and how you guys teach it, and the people that I've been drawn to, like Elsie and the ones who are really sort of advocate for being in the feeling and not pathologizing things, and seeing that glimmer of, well, actually you had an insight that was outside of what you had before, and you've experienced the freedom and the uplift that that insight has brought in your feeling state. And you can just be like that. Like, I never take notes on three principles retreats. And I don't take notes now in my Buddhist practice. Like, my whole intellectual requirement that I had before, it's not there in the same way. And oh my God, how thankful I am for just being around and hearing people that are such advocates for just being in the good feeling and being in your well-being. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've got out of the 3 principles. I don't know if anything I said just then made sense. I hope it did. But that's something that I've definitely got out of the 3 principles. It's that feeling state is just a fraction of a change of perspective in any moment. And that's been so nice. And then to see that in other people and see that wake up in them, the joy that gives me. Like when, for example, on retreat, you could see such a difference in Ange, and she couldn't see it herself, but we could all see it. And the uplift and that feeling of a swollen, looking at someone and you feel your heart kind of almost swell in your chest. And I just remember feeling so many times so overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed all the time, as you know, and I cry because I just love being in the feeling that the 3 principles has given me, that the 3 principles signposted me towards, and that you guys facilitated. And I'll be grateful to the day I die for that, because it is, I'm getting it now. Yeah, there's a different way I talk within the 3 principles than when I'm sharing the Dharma, for example. And I hope that when I'm in my Dharma study group and I'm in my Sangha group, I constantly now try to bring that to that environment, because of the Dharma, everyone gets intellectually caught up. I don't think you can help it when you're reading and studying and sharing in that way. But, oh my God, being in the feeling and seeing it happen in other people is just, when you see people dropping into that feeling state, and it feels good.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
It
All
had
right.
been beautiful to
Thank
see
you.
you settle into yourself in a way.
Sorry, say that again, Jem.
You just settled into yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, she's been quite noisy at the moment, so, but yeah, it's been beautiful to see. And yeah, it's cool because Andrew didn't really want to share with anyone. I think I put you two together, so you're in the room together, and it was great to see the friendships and everything that came from it. And it's like, I remember Andrew saying, I'm so glad I didn't limit myself by saying I had to be in a room on my own. Have that beautiful friendship, and you got to see the change. And
it was just amazing. I got so much joy and pleasure out of seeing that change in people. I couldn't imagine the joy that I got I couldn't imagine that I would have got so much joy from that, because before, maybe sometimes that it's all about your own personal change, and actually to sort of see that change in other people, and what insight seeing that change in other people brought as well. And then for you two to just give me permission to go, just be in the feeling, stop questioning it. It was like I kept wanting to pinch myself to see. Yeah,
we just want to analyze the shit out of everything, and
that's when it gets shit.
that's when it gets shit. I always say, that's not my saying, is it? But the devil's in the details. The devil, the keeper of hell, is in the details. Hell comes like when Zoe just spoke before, and she said, I was in it, and then now I've tried to word it, gone into the details, it's drifted away. You're no longer in that heavenly space. So, Kel, no, that's so beautiful. It's been so beautiful to watch the change. You know, and it's been a real privilege that we've got to be part of that. But I love the fact that you know it's, and this is the beautiful thing. It's the beautiful thing. It's like when you know it's within you, you know it's within everybody else too. You know, even if they don't see it, you know it.
But
You
that
know,
amazing energy that comes off of someone who's just seen it, just had an inkling of it, because they just seem so different. Like there seems to be a soul to soul connection in the communication, which from the outside might look like any other connection. But when you know that you can have access to that, if you choose, if you can get out of your way, get out of your ego, lean back, as Lisa says, and just watch it.
no, it's beautiful. Thanks, Kel, love.
Thank you.
I just want to say hi to Dave. Dave, thanks for your lovely message, mate. And yeah, I hope the surgery's been successful. And just sending you loads of love, buddy. Thank you so much for being on this call. And welcome, Adi. I love it when it gets to this time in retreats. I'm sad that they're coming to an end. I love doing retreats, online and in person. I love them. But I love the stillness that comes when you get to this level, this point in the retreat. There's a stillness that comes. I remember one time Jen and I did a retreat in Kendal. Do you remember, love? And we're on day 3. And the room was silent, but somebody had invited one of the friends and said, oh, you should come to this. So she came in the very last minute, like last hour or something of this retreat. And the room was silent. It was just this kind of hum of well-being, for want of a better word. It was just this hum of peace. It's just a really beautiful space. This woman, God bless her, she went, hold on. That's not true what you're talking about. You could see that everybody who'd been there for 3 days was silent, but this woman walked straight and went, that's not true what you're talking about. So are you telling me that people who are at war and they're getting bombed and shot at, that their fear isn't coming because they're being bombed? And we said, well, no, their fear is coming from their perception. This is a watertight, 360-degree, singular, simple fact that all experience is created, all reality is created from within ourselves. I said, I'd known people who have been at war and they've never felt more alive than when they've been shot at. They buzzed for it. It made them feel alive. It brought them into the moment. So it can't have been the bombs or the bullets, because otherwise everybody would have to feel that. But that silence is where we truly hear ourselves. Anybody else? We've got 10 minutes left, then we're going to have a break. 3:45, then we're going to have a break till 4 p.m. and then we're going to have, hopefully, Gabby's coming on.
was just going to say, well, like sometimes when people hear other people sharing, they think, oh no, I haven't had that, or it hasn't happened to me, or I haven't seen it like that. Just no, it comes to us how it comes to us, and we see what we see. Sometimes it is after one of these kind of events, we'll be minding our own business and something will happen that we normally react one way and we find ourselves reacting in a different way, or it's often quite subtle, some of the changes that can happen. And just, you know, it's not a judgment thing at all. Are you talking to your shoe? It's not talking back, is it? The rabbit spoke back. Yeah, just it's almost like leave yourself alone. I know Roger said to us on the evening after the first day, just go away and do the things you enjoy. Just go away and do the things. Don't have to go and talk about this and analyze it. Just go and do what you love and what you enjoy, and let it soak in, or soak out, or whatever it is. Let it uncover itself. So yeah, and also if people do have questions or they disagree with anything, we're always willing to speak to things. We don't want people to take our word for anything. This is just an offering of how we see life and what's been beneficial for us and what's been revealed to us. And I always trust that what comes to us and what we go through is perfect for our life, and there's no two people the same. And Lucia strongly agrees with me. I'm really hoping Gabby she's joining from Mexico from a hotel lobby, but she's checked the internet and she says it does work, and she's really excited to be with us. So she just said fingers crossed nothing happens and it's not suddenly loads of background noise. But I think Gabriela is somebody who, she took me into the jail system in Santa County in 2009, 2010, and I was so nervous. She knew I was quite nervous. So then she said, I thought it'd be nice to start, Jenny, if you'd share what you've been seeing around the principles. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe you've done that to me. And then I sat and I got quite comfortable and sat and shared with this group of, I think it was veterans who were in prison, in jail, sorry, not prison. And then afterwards, we sort of got through the security thing. We both needed to go to the toilet. We came out washing our hands, and she went, do you know what, Jen? I'll co-facilitate with you anytime. And it was at a time where I still felt that I could get quite insecure about my sharing, and I felt quite young compared to some of the other facilitators, and she just saw something in me that I hadn't seen in myself, and it really gave me confidence. And yeah, I'll always be grateful for her for that. And I think the other thing that I got to see was that she doesn't kind of reserve how she shows up just for family, friends. She literally shows up in love with like anyone. So it's like the security guard, the person on the checkout. And she said, it's not that she's always in that feeling. She doesn't pretend that she's always in that feeling, but most of the time, I see you've just found my phone. You can have this instead. She just kind of, love just kind of pours out of Gabriela. I often, after that trip, I said it's almost like I'd met this earth angel, because she has got so much love to give and share, and she does just give and share it. And seeing her work within juvenile hall with these young girls from the age of 13 to 17, I think they were a group of about 15 to 20, and she just she didn't teach much, like there wasn't a huge amount of teaching, but she showed up and she saw the beauty in the girls. She saw the beauty in them regardless of what they were in for. And it just kind of, yeah, and then by the end of it, you saw these kind of faces come in one way and they left beaming. They knew that Gabriela loved them and saw them as whole, and they came out, and some of the things they were sharing at the end were, well, maybe I will try again. Maybe I will try and get my qualification in this, actually. And it was just, it showed me how subtle the teaching actually is. A subtle shift in someone can make a huge difference, and how easy it is to overteach. Like, I need you to get this message, I need you to see this, whereas she's just like, it's already true, it's already up and running within you, you're all right, you just don't see it sometimes, but I see it for you. And yeah, I'm really excited to have Gabby on, and I'm really glad she's agreed to come on even though she's away on holiday. So please do make the time of asking her questions, because her experience is so vast. She's worked a lot within the county, so within juvenile hall, stage 2, when people have come out of jail. She's done a lot of stuff in business, a lot of stuff within the Spanish speaking community. So really, I think she said she loves to facilitate and make it interactive. So if you have questions or things you want to ask her, because she loves it that way, kind of round, rather than just doing a talk. But there's a particular story I'm going to ask her to share, because I always try and share it and I don't do it justice. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm hoping Lucia doesn't talk through the entire thing. Nice and calm. She's eating a duck at the moment. So who knew you could get so much contentment from a rubber duck? This rubber duck has saved us a few times, hasn't it?
Should we go to a break, love?
Yeah. So
Right,
we're back, in good time to start at 4 with Gabriela.
yeah, so 4 p.m. we're back, UK time. Well, yeah. What was it, love?
Okay,
Hi, Gabby.
got it. Hi,
Hi.
Dave, how are you doing? Hi,
Good,
Jen.
love.
Welcome
Hi,
back,
everyone.
This is the final session of our 3-day retreat, and we have Gabriela with us.
We're going out with a bang.
I bigged you up a little bit before the break.
Oh, Lord.
No.
Well, good luck to all of us here.
Yeah.
And I just said that if you have time at the end, if people want to ask you questions, or and just how vast your work's been really, and the different people that you've worked with throughout your time sharing 3 principles.
Sure.
And we've read out your topic, but is that what you're looking for?
No, I was looking for a duck.
Oh, she dropped it down.
Or that pillbox,
There's your pillbox.
which isn't actually a pillbox.
So mind is always present. Why you don't have to worry about any change that comes your way.
I'm going to take her upstairs.
Okay.
I'll be on another.
Sure.
Great seeing her.
Oh,
He'll be on another screen, but he can mute it.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
Okay.
can talk. And Gabby, you've been so instrumental in
Late?
Jen.
Oh.
Well, and instrumental in Jen's journey with the principles. I can't believe we've never had you on sooner. But I want to leave Jen to do all the making you feel awkward bit, and so I'm going to go upstairs and keep her quiet. Well, keep her-
Okay.
Back to food in a bit. Yeah, they say don't work with children and animals, and we've had Rusty and Lucia. It's been interesting but fun. Yeah, I was just saying before the break how early on in me sharing the principles, I was still so nervous about what to share, and that when you and I and Rudy went into the jail on the break, you and I went to the toilet, and you just said to me, I'll co-facilitate with you anytime. And I don't know if you knew at the time or know now how much confidence it seemed to give me. And yeah, I really, really appreciated it. And just spending that time with you and going into the county and seeing the work that you did just made everything I'd seen in my first retreat, learning about this, so much more real. Seeing it within the prison system, seeing it within the stage 2 when people have come out of prisons, going into juvenile hall. And I think something I've always loved is that you're such a natural at this.
Mm.
You don't overshare. You just love people, and then what comes from you is
Oh, thank you.
you're inspirational. And I don't want to take up any more time, so please just take it wherever you want, and we'll just sit back and listen.
Well, this thing that I wanted to share with you guys is something that is like one of the first things that I heard Roger Mills. I don't know if you guys know who Roger Mills was, but Roger was the first person that I heard the principles from. And when I heard the principles from Roger, I recognized them as truth. They just felt like truth. I knew that what he was talking about was real. I knew that I had experienced that in my life. But the very first thing that I heard that really touched me was, there's a place in you that's untouchable. And that felt really grounding to me. It just grounded me in a way that made my soul kind of go like, ah. And so what I think one of the greatest gifts of really understanding what I understand and seeing what I've seen, not only in my own life, but in other people, is just realizing that the principles is us, right? Like we are it. And I love realizing mind. I love seeing mind in action. I love realizing that whatever happens and whatever mistakes I make, that there is something backing me up in a way that I will not fall fully. Kind of, like when little kids are learning to walk and their parents grab them from their back and they fall a little, but then, they're sustained, they're held by them. And so I just wanted to have a conversation more than anything with you guys about realizing that mind is something we cannot be separated from. And so I just wanted to, chat with you guys about that. I wanted to throw that out. And I love to hear what your ideas and insights about that is, that we can really not be separated ever from mind, because that's what gives us life. And what does that mean to you? So I'll start picking people if there's nobody that's willing to. Louise, you just looked right at me when I was looking at the phone. Louise Danielle, darling.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so lovely hearing you speak and share. And I think that for me, like this understanding has really allowed me to see that I think one of the things that I noticed was that there's always a sense of being, there's always a sense of an awareness, an experience of everything without separation from like the how do I say it? I suppose it was falling into out of my thinking and into a feeling of connectedness with everything, and realizing that is always present, like always the one thing that's always present is that feeling of connectedness. I just can't always see it at times when I'm up in my head or not present to what is, when I'm listening to like the narrative, the story, as opposed to that one connected felt experience, which feels very different from a physical perspective as well, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Luisa, you pick the next person that's going to talk.
Oh, Sarah C looks nice and smiley. So does everybody else, by the way.
I really don't know what to say. Yes, it's the feeling. That's what it is, and that feeling is being connected to everything. And that's why I like those words, love and now, so much, because that they always put me right there. And just like you, Lou, I quite often don't realize that I'm there. So it's always nice to go back there.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah, who would you like to go next?
Zoe.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Zoe.
Would you refresh my mind with your reflection question?
So, knowing that we are mind, do you have anything to say about that? Or do you recognize that in any way? Or do you see that in any moment in your life?
Absolutely. It's a felt sense. And it's the life force energy moving all things, every being, every plant, moving the sun, the moon, the stars. Without that connection to divine mind, universal source energy, it's like the juice that powers everything, whether it be personal mind, consciousness, thought, divine mind. And it's really, I don't know. I'm in my intellect right now. You can tell there's a little pressure going on, and it's just so beautiful to experience that dropping in and that coming home to that place that's always ever present and never changing, no matter what the surface tensions may be, or the three-ring circus that's going on in our life. Underneath all of that mental chatter is that divine essence, that presence. And in that quietness, when we attune to that inner listening, wow, the guidance, the answers, everything is right there within us, when we start looking in that direction. So took me a minute just to tune in. It's nice to meet you. Yeah,
nice to meet you, Zoe. Thank you. Well, would you like to choose the next person?
Oh, let's see. Ange? Okay. Should I try again?
Should we give her a moment? I don't know. Well, Kelly is there. Kelly's right above you in my screen.
Okay. Let's go to Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I think for me, since sort of discovering the principles, one thing that I really appreciate is that the Free Principles facilitators, there's never this feeling of like they're holding something back that you've got to earn the right to have too. It points to something that's already so deeply sort of understood, but you just don't know that you've kind of understood it anyway. It's like this feeling of like you can just switch into this feeling of well-being, and it can happen. You don't have to intellectually understand it. You don't have to have like studied everything. Just the fact that people, you can see yourself, and you know that people can see within you a shift into being okay with just being in a good feeling. And it's enough to just be in that good feeling, and you don't have to explain. And it's like you get this kind of permission with all the facilitators that I have had contact with. There's this permission, just go, you can just be in that without having to intellectually understand it. You can just be in your body, or I don't even know if it's in the body, in the heart, it dropping into that heart space, and it doesn't need any explanation. Like, it's okay to just enjoy it, be there, and try to live your life out of there. Or it's much easier to live your life from that point, from that place, when you're around so many people that value the fact that you've just been able to drop into that feeling. You don't have to earn a badge to drop into that feeling. And I love that about what I've discovered within the principles, having not known anything about the principles, and going on a Free Principles retreat, and just kind of, yeah, I mean, I spoke earlier about, you know, being in the Free Principles and not feeling the need to take notes or intellectually understand something. Like, I've come from a background of critical theory, and so my tendency is to do that. But the freedom I've experienced from just being, everyone absolutely just so happy for you to be in the feeling, that's what I love so much about the Three Principles, and sharing the Three Principles and seeing that happen for other people, and just being able to say, just be in the feeling. And yeah, that's been really great for me.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if anybody else would like to share. I have a tiny little screen because I'm using my phone, but I don't know if Jen or Dave, if you can see if anybody's raising their hand. Oh, Julie. I think
Hello.
Julie just did some. Hi,
Yeah.
Julie.
You said something like mind is always on, and that sort of like triggered me, because that used to be something I wanted to turn off.
Ah, okay. Yes, okay.
And it's quite funny to think now. I don't see it quite so threatening, but I just sort of, you know, like old habits. I recognised it as yeah, that's something I wanted to turn off. That noise, that constant chatter.
I'm happy that you mentioned that, because what I meant was to say that not maybe well, I don't know if you're, oh, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, go. No, I get that wasn't actually probably, I don't think, what you meant. It was just, like I say, I just picked up on those words.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I think what I meant to say is, it's just so nice to know that we are part of an intelligence that we cannot separate from. So nice. I love being in the feeling, and sometimes I'm not. And when I'm not in the feeling, there is like some comfort somewhere in my being. And even now that you're feeling crappy, or even now that you're feeling disconnected, or even now, I got into to a fight at the airport. That was my worst. That was horrific. And even then, you know, that even in those moments, that there is not a separation from life. And so, you know, as we go through changes, and I have this observation that right now the world is going through lots of different changes, and our politics, and you know, the world, the material world, is going through a lot of changes. And it's been so reassuring to know that as we move forward in the world with the material world, that we are part of life force, and that we have this great capacity to have insight, and that we are connected, and that we are mind, even when we don't feel it, even when we don't see it. Like even at my worst at the airport, I was yelling at this lady that was trying to help me. And I was like, just, you know, I mean, I put my fist on the desk, and I was like, no, I'm not going to pay that. And no, I'm not going to pay that. And I've been waiting here for 3 hours. And, you know, I was really livid. And there was this moment of kindness afterwards that I experienced, of like, oh, look, you lost your cookies, you lost your bearings. And even in that moment, there is a divinity to all of us. And of course, when we're in that feeling, it's fantastic, you know, and like Kelly and other people were saying, the feeling is enough. We don't need to talk about anything else. But even when we are not in the feeling, and even at our most insecure, and even when it's just like not so obvious to us, realizing somewhere in our beings that even then, the intelligence of life and life force is what we are. You know, so what I experienced post my tantrum at the airport was a sense of kindness and gentleness. And my husband was trying to mediate, and I turned around and I looked at him and I was like, God, you know, thank God that somebody has the presence of mind right now to help me. So what I wanted more than anything with our conversation today is I wanted to look in the direction of being able to live life or navigate life just with a sense of gentleness and kindness, knowing that we are at every moment in our life supported by God. We are like an expression of God. I don't know if you like that word or not, but if you don't like that word, you can use any other word. So I think that's, for me, that's really at the end of the day, knowing that we are resilient, and knowing that at times, you know, like myself at the airport, we do get stuck, and we do get angry, or maybe we get insecure, or maybe we get whatever it is we get. And knowing that a moment later, we have like a brand new opportunity to recalculate and to drop into the feeling, and that that's automatic, and that we don't have to feel bad about it. I mean, you know, sometimes we will, but it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory to feel bad. It's not mandatory to have to work at it. It's not mandatory to try to see more. It's not mandatory to effort into getting more grounded, because it's our very nature, that our very nature, like by birth, this is what happens. That really, we can drop into the feeling of love at any time, and sometimes we won't. And even when we don't see it, and even when we don't experience it, that's really like underground what's keeping us alive. So at our best, yes. When we see it, yes. When we feel love, yes. When we feel grounded, yes. And when we don't, also yes. You know, when we are stressed, yes. When we get moody, we are, yes, we continue to be mind. So at our best and at our worst, in our mood system, right? In our feeling state, in our capacity to see, like that doesn't really impact what we are. And so changes come, you know, changes in mood, changes in the quality of our thinking, changes in like the real world come. And sometimes we're like so hopeful. Sometimes like I get frightened about some of the changes that we're experiencing in the world. And invariably there is always this moment of recalibration or new hope of love. Even when I don't look for it, even when I don't want it. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I just wanted to share with you that as we start realizing the nature of what we are and who we are, like naturally, we just tend to drop into this feeling of freedom and love. Because that's really our basic nature. What do you think? Oh, I'm gonna have to pick on people again. Oh, Angie, you're here. I can see you. How are you?
Hi, sorry, I've just come into the conversation again. Back to Spot House, I've just come in, so it's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. So I don't know if you were able to hear anything, but you know, this idea that when we're in the feeling, it's wonderful. I love it, right? And you can really, I think we were able to really see like, oh, this is great. We see our nature. We see the fact that we are freedom and love really in our core. But then this added little piece, and I don't know if it's so new for you, but even if you don't, like when it's not so obvious, realizing even then we still are freedom and love. It may not be so obvious to us. So just how does that settle with you?
Well, I was just talking before the last section, and I was just saying that, you know, it's just so simple. It's taken how I was 2 years ago to how I am now. I'm just a completely like have a different outlook, and everything, all the emotions I feel. I know that they're just a temporary feeling, and underneath everything, I'm okay. I do come from a place of love, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful feeling compared to how I was. And I don't know if that's all I can say. It really is. It's just as simple. It's not as difficult as people think it is. Life is not as difficult as people think it is. And I was one of those people. And it's just such a wonderful place to be, you know, living life and experiencing all the emotions that come with it. And knowing they're just like coming through us rather than us being it. Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you, Angie. I'm just wondering if anybody else wants to comment something about this idea that, the feeling of being, that seeing is wonderful because we can see the truth. And then when we don't see it or when we don't feel it, realizing, oh, but even then, like nothing really has changed other than we cannot see it. How does that settle with you?
May I say something, Gab?
Yes, of course. Yes.
I don't know, I find sometimes I can really feel like I'm getting it right when I'm in a beautiful space. And sometimes I can have such judgment of myself when I'm not. I think Anne summed it up in the previous section, and Kelly. It is that knowing, as much as compelling it is to think that we're getting life right and wrong. You lost your shit at the checkout person. I lost my rag with myself the other day and ended up throwing a chainsaw out of a tree and okay, I'm going home. Stuck a chainsaw in my leg. And thankfully I was wearing the Kevlar pants, so I was all right. And the judgment that I carried for myself, I beat myself up for a day. I went into a really dark hole. I shared this conversation. And it's like, but I think the gratitude I got from that experience following it, it's like, I don't know, there's a place for all of it, isn't there? There's a place for all of it. And I feel like I shed a few layers through that meltdown that I had. I had a meltdown. And I don't know, I think what I'm trying to say is I can often find myself in judgment of thinking I'm getting life right when it's all feeling lovely, and I'm getting life wrong when I'm not getting it and it's not feeling lovely. And I think what you're talking about is so valuable. Knowing that you're not getting life wrong. You are life itself. You are that divine mindness itself. And you can't get that bit wrong. What we're confusing for getting wrong is the form and the shape that our life appears to be taking in the moment. Yeah, I just wanted to share that sometimes I can find myself in judgment.
I love what you just shared, Dave, because I think many of us go through that, I don't know, way of thinking about the principles. It's like we're doing it great, right? Like, when I'm kind, I'm patient, and I'm, I recognize the human being trying to help me at the checkout. It's like, yes, I'm so developed and I'm so this and so that, right? And there is a sense of I'm doing it right. Because in that moment, I don't realize in that moment that I'm not doing anything, right? This is just like how life works. But there is a tendency of think of the principles like if they were an ability that we get better at. So what I love about what you just shared is life itself is always presenting, and we have preferences. Like I would have probably preferred not to yell at her and, like pound my fist on the desk. I would have preferred not to. And yet, even in that moment, nothing has changed. And so there is this sense of gentleness and kindness and recognizing that the greatness of what we are, it's still intact. And then, I cut myself in the middle, and I could tell that there was a shift in me of like, okay, maybe you just need to like calm down, girl, right? But in that moment, it wasn't up to me because really, I don't think I had the bandwidth to do that. It was in the grace of life that was tapping in my shoulder and was like, hey, cut it out, you know, enough yelling. So that's always available to us. That's always available to us. This help, if you want to call it, to me, it just feels like this giant support system, like the universe is like continuously behind us. And whatever comes our way, even when we lose our cookies at the, checkout desk or, whatever, that in the next moment, as a new moment arises, we can have insight as to how to navigate that next moment differently, kinder, And so the magic of life is showing up in the moment, every moment. And so we can throw chainsaws and pound our fists on desks. And in the next moment, we recognize something different. So there's always like a new page coming into our lives. And there are times when I face different situations, they feel a bit enormous. And I don't know how I'm going to get through the other side. And so I've just started playing with this idea, I don't need to know the whole path. I don't need to know all the ideas. I don't need to know all the insights. I just need to know the next one. And maybe the next one is for you to go take a cup of coffee or have a cup of, tea, or go for a walk or start an email or find a place that has better Wi-Fi, there is like that intelligence always like at our fingertips. So we are never left alone, even in the worst of our moments, even in the saddest or darkest of our feelings. We're just never alone. And that to me just feels fantastic. Oh, Debbie, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Hey, Gabriela, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you. This is beautiful. And that, what you brought up today is something that brought me so much peace when I first came into the principles, was the full spectrum of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
So much of my spiritual journey was trying to get someplace else, trying to obtain it, trying to be better, do better. And there was such a growth in knowing that it's okay, that I'm okay, no matter what. And to watch the transient nature of emotions when I'm not in judgment, when I'm not in story about it, that it just kind of comes and goes in waves. And for me, when you were talking about next step, I love that. For me, it's, that's the divine intelligence behind life. That's wisdom. That's God giving me what my next right step is. And like, I don't know if you remember, but the Michael Jackson Beat It video, when he steps on a light and nothing else lights up until he steps on that one. And then the next one lights up and the next one.
Right. Yes, I love that. Yeah.
And there's magnificent freedom and possibility for me. And that's the other gift of the principles, is learning to discern wisdom from the thoughts in my head. Learning to hear that quiet, still, small voice, that little nudge of God. Baby girl, go over here, do this, do. And sometimes it's so paradoxical to what my rational thought would be in that moment. But it's always right. It's always spot on. And does it always make it easy? Absolutely not. But it's exactly the direction and the guidance I get moment by moment by moment. And sometimes when I get into a whirly, swirly mind, all that is a call back to love, a call back to God. Just show me, Lord, what's my next right step? And the whole system just settles down, because what I notice is if I'm not afraid of my experience, I can feel safe in whatever the experience is in that moment, because I'm held by grace, I'm held by love. And when I do get whirled up, all it is my internal guidance system saying, you're just veering off course a little bit, honey. Just come right back to that grace, right back to the love, right back to them. And it's such a beautiful way to live. And I thank God I learned this before I faced my mortality almost 7 times in the last 2 years. And I wasn't afraid of that then either. And then it was like, wow, this is interesting. Wow, look at what a blessed life I have lived. Became holy, breath became holy, breath became sacred. Being with my loved ones was no longer, oh gosh, I wish they did this, and to try to fix this and change it. It was just being so present, because I didn't know what the next day would hold. And I just wanted that space of love. But that opportunity is always there, whether we're in the catastrophic or whether we're in the middle of the blessing. None of us ever know what the next moment holds. Even if everything's perfect and everything's working the way we want it to, we don't know what tomorrow holds. And that's not from a catastrophizing thought, but from such beauty that it's so rich in this moment. And I know for me, I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss it. And when I do, I feel it. And it feels really bad. And I'm kind of grateful that it feels bad. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I love this thing about not being afraid of the experience. I love that. Thank you for bringing that on, because I think it's really cool. You know, it's really cool when, I don't know quite how to say this. So it's really cool when the particular moment, the particular feeling in this moment can feel uncomfortable, and yet there is a settledness deeper in our soul. Like we can feel uncomfortable, you know, like of course I feel uncomfortable and whatever I feel, and it's just not a big deal. It's just not a big deal, because there is. Go ahead, Debbie.
I think no, too. Then when things pop up, for me, I get this awareness of all the things I was carried through that I thought I never would get through. And somehow I did. Somehow I woke up this morning, you know, and I could probably write a book on the things that I thought I would never live through. And some of those were emotions, you know, like I'll never get over this. And then whoosh, it moves. Same with experience, same with symptoms in the body. Things move. And I think knowing that, because it's true for all of us, if we woke up this morning, we already got through all those things that we thought we would never ever get through. We did. And beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, that is actually, you know, I think one of the greatest gifts that we get. Like every moment, not even every day. I was having a really bad day a while back, and I said, oh my God, I cannot wait until tomorrow. Well, tomorrow will be a new day. And I was like, well, like I actually could experience a brand new day at any moment, right? So at any moment, I can have a brand new day, really. Because every moment comes with an empty, well, this is not quite right, but the new moment is not modeled by my past moments. Right? Exactly. It's like, oh, Yep, here comes a new moment. Oh, here comes a new moment. Oh, okay, you just, pounded your fist on the desk. Well, there you go. Isn't that interesting? Okay, here's a good moment, right? And also that I seem to have like learning, right? Like I was like I learned, this is what I learned with my pounding on the desk. I realized I prime myself 3 hours before I go to the airport when I fly certain airlines. Right? So I'm like, oh, here they go, here they go, here they go. And so when I get to the airport, I am perfectly prepared for a fight because I've been priming myself for 3 hours. I knew that, but I saw this real alive this way in this particular session or this particular trip. And somebody asked me, one of my friends asked me, well, do you think you're going to do that again? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to see that again, but I know that I learned something really valuable. Right? So it seems to me like, like when I say, okay, yes, I pounded my face on the desk. Okay, that's done. But it seems like also we're able to have insight about that. We're able to learn, we're able to see, we're able to appreciate something. And so I have developed this trust in, I'm going to see something new about this. Not because I'm going to try to, but I'm, opening myself to, what can I see about this? And so the point of, we are mind at every moment. We cannot get separated from the greatest intelligence of life because that's what we are. We are that when we see it and when we feel it. And we are that when we don't. And that's true for us, and that's true for others. Right? And that's true at our worst, and our best. Because we can't, because we cannot, it's impossible to separate ourselves from what we are.
Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you so much. It was delightful to meet you.
Delightful. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
I think somebody else wants to speak. Maybe not. Let's see. They came on. Well, okay. Dave, what do you want to say? Is there something you would like to share?
Me?
Sure.
All right. I don't know. I'm loving this. You have to forgive me. I've got the most high maintenance Jack Russell on the planet, so I've just chucked him.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, so he's been fed in this time, and he's been out twice, so I've just left him outside.
That's okay.
There was something that came. Actually, I wrote down your quote, Gab, in what appears to be Egyptian hieroglyphics. So forgive me. I'm sorry, try and decipher it. So reassuring to know that as we move forward with the material world, that we are always a part of mind.
Mm.
It was at a time when you were talking about the world's going through vast, rapid change. And then you just said that. So reassuring to know that as we move forward with the material world, that we're always part of mind. Because I don't know, some of these changes can look really, really scary. And when you feel like you're on your own, it can feel even scarier. When it's you against the world, I've got to defend, and this is where I look back at my old life before hearing Sid, and I was a hard man. I was a tough guy. I was built like a brick shithouse, and my greatest gift that I was blessed with was my ability to intimidate people and scare people, and it got me what I wanted, and it kept me safe. And it's like, and then I listened to Sid, and for whatever reason, that no longer made sense. It was falling into love, and that was my greatest strength. My hard man out of insecurity. My greatest strength was actually my ability to love. And you know, I look back at my life. It's not that I don't have my fears from time to time, but it's like that realizing that, so reassuring to know that as we move forward within this material world, that we are always a part of mind. It's like when you feel isolated, you can feel very like you want to slam your fists on the chest. When you feel isolated, you feel like you want to throw chainsaws out of the tree. You know, when you feel like it's you against the world and the world's outside pissing you right off. And then you come back to the sanity of, no, we're always a part of this divine mind, and everybody that I interact with, every single tree is it too. It's like all of a sudden the loneliness disappears and you're left with the simple fact that everything's perfect. You're all right, you're perfect as well. And it's like, I just love that statement. Because to me, it, right in that, how many, 20 words, there's everything that anybody ever needs to get them through an entire lifetime, just in that little bit of awareness. I am always connected to the divine source of existence. You cannot be separate. There's everything anybody ever needs in that. I'm really keen to go to Layla, if that's all right. She's got a hand up.
Yeah, Layla has her hand on.
Oh, I didn't know I had my hand up.
That's funny. Layla, you have to speak now because you have your hand up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, be spoken. You have to speak.
Okay, Gabby, can you go back to your what you were asking us to reflect upon?
Yeah, because Layla's internet's been going in and out. Zoom keeps booting her out, so she's missed some of this.
Oh, okay, Layla. Well, welcome. Thank you for keep on trying to be with us. So it was just the fact that we are mind, not all of it, you know, but part of it, and that it's ever present in our lives when we see it and when we feel it and when we don't. And I'm just wondering, you know, if you have any reflection on that, any thought, any insight on that.
Well, I've got a reflection really on the weekend and how the three principles has really opened my eyes to the fact that I'm not suffering, I am just living, and I'm just part of the mind and I'm not making sense, but yeah.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me how you see that you were not suffering and you're living, and whatever you say, it's fine. It's okay. You can take a moment if you want to. Go on.
Well, I'm going through a little bit of a hard time at the moment, personally, and I've been struggling for quite a long time. And I was seeing it as all kind of me and my fault and what I'd done wrong and what I needed to do to get out of it. But actually feel more settled in just knowing that it'll be okay, that it's not, the past isn't, it's the past now, it's not shouldn't be defining me, and I can move forward.
Thank you, Layla.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny how we can do that. I mean, certainly I think we can do that. We can look at our past and it feels so solid, you know? And the more we think about it, the more solid it feels, and it can really, it can feel like it defines us. And then, you know, it's interesting because we'll have these moments where we're not doing well, and then we'll get distracted with something like, oh, I want a cup of tea. And in that moment, disappears. It's such a trip. You know, really the time factor thing is such a trip, right? The past and the present and the future and how we move through it with our thinking. It's so compelling, really. And then we land where we are. You know, we land in the present. And in the present, like in this moment, really, like in this microsecond, we'll find peace and love and freedom. But we move through time. We move through, you know, through what's going to happen and what has happened. I was in the hospital with my husband a while back, and he was having some heart issues, and we were in the emergency room, and there were a lot of things happening. And this great insight came to my mind. And the insight was, what's happening in this moment? And I turned around and I was like, well, in this moment, we are at the hospital. He's on the bed, he's watching football, he's fine. In this moment, I'm sitting on this chair, looking at him watch football, and right now we're fine. So, you know, it was kind of like, we can get pulled into the physical world. And then we can also get very clear about where we really are. And it seems like the antidote for suffering is getting present in the moment. And, you know, in that particular example that I told you about being in the hospital, I did not have, honestly, the bandwidth to help myself because I was so concerned and worried. And it was so wonderful. Again, mind shows up, right? See, because we can count on it, right? Like the intelligence of life comes up. And what a wonderful question. What's happening in this moment? That question did not come from me. That question came from a greater intelligence. And that's what we can count on every single time, even as we face, you know, the changes, the rapid changes that we're facing, that we have this capacity or that, I don't know, that God shows up in the moment, even when we least expect it, and even in a way that we would have not even considered ourselves.
I think, sorry to speak again. I hope it's okay.
Go for it. Of course.
I think I really agree with what you're saying, and like I can feel like what that feels. I can imagine what that feels like, but I can also I really struggle to be to feel the moment, to be in the moment at the moment.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I am. But this weekend and learning about the principles has really opened my mind up to being more in the moment and learning more about that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Leila. Yeah, and you know, I just want to say that it's not like I'm in the moment every time, because I'm not. But I get little helps. I tell you, I get little hints of like, you know, for me, a cup of coffee, cup of tea really helps me. Going for a walk really helps me. Sometimes reading really helps me. Sometimes going for a hug really helps me. Sometimes a breath really helps me. But even then, right, like there's this droplets of wisdom coming our way. And sometimes the droplet of wisdom is go to a weekend retreat. That's really going to be helpful. I mean, there's just so much out there. We don't have to do this a certain way, right? Like we don't have to be in a room just like meditating a certain way or thinking or reading a book. There is like a million ways that life's intelligence helps us. And sometimes it's like, give this person a call or go watch a movie or whatever. Mind is endlessly creative. God is endlessly creative. We can just look at nature or at the creation and you can see the diversity of possibilities. There's a diversity of possibilities that we have at our fingertips because we are part of this intelligence. And so, as we face life, Layla, and as you face your days, these opportunities will come to you almost in spite of yourself.
Thank you.
And thank
Yes.
God in spite of ourselves.
Mhm.
May I ask you a very quick question? Because I'm just going to quote you. I've written down one of your quotes now. You said something along the lines of, I think it'll all be okay. May I ask you a question? Not 10 minutes ago, not last week, not the last 2 years, but right now, how do you feel, love?
Are you talking
Yeah, you.
me?
How do you feel right now, love?
Me, Layla.
Layla, how do you feel?
I feel more positive than I have done the last few days.
Do you feel okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I just wanted to bring that in, just wanted to point that out. It's
Yeah.
like, I just wanted to bring you to the moment. Because right now you feel okay. And you, to quote you, you said, it will all be okay. It's like an okay exists right now for you. I just wanted you to notice it. I just wanted you to appreciate that fact. You have the capacity to experience that feeling state of being all right. You're not broken, love. You're not broken. You're not damaged. You can feel it. And it's right here, right now. Just wanted you to get a feel for that and a sense of it, sense of the moment. And understand that you are totally capable of that, love. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for being part of this. It means a lot to me that you're part of this. Thank you, love.
That's something nice, Dave, because sometimes we're just not noticing. Sometimes we just don't notice. Like I didn't notice at the airport. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how upset I get because I'm waiting. It doesn't matter how many times I've tried to check in. It doesn't matter, I'm still like, dude, you're going on vacation. Just enjoy it, right? Well, we don't notice, right? We just don't notice these things. And so I love what you just brought to the table of, it's nice to notice. It's just nice to really pay attention sometimes.
Yeah, it is what you were just saying just before that. It's like, it's such a human trait that we're like, I was telling a story about a lady who I met. She wanted to do a one-to-one with me on a walk. And I said this just before, and she got angry 2 weeks ago. And she said, I want to talk to you because you know all about anger and this, that, and the other. And I said to her, stop right now. How do you feel? She was telling me she wants to get rid of the anger. I want to get rid of this anger. I lost my shit. I said, tell me how you feel right now. She said, I feel fine. So I said, you get this right. You've asked me to come for a walk with you to get rid of an anger that actually left you 2 weeks ago, but you haven't noticed.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't noticed. You've been carrying it through time.
Mm-hmm.
and living as though it's still real and existent, when in actual fact it has gone, it no longer exists. It just seems like such a human thing for us to worry about the future and to beat up the past without any respect for the fact that we are right here, right now, in a hospital with my husband, who's actually all right. I always remember my sister. One time phoning me up, God bless her. Her dog was really ill and he was dying. He was on his last legs, was Ben. He was a beautiful dog, and she had him for a lot of years, and they stuck together through thick and thin. She got him up from a lady who rescued him from being drowned by teenagers and stuff, and miraculous way, at least my sister's full of miracles. And I remember going round to see her, and she was crying on me. She was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, Dave. I don't know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to deal with it. And I just said, Lise. He's there in front of the fire. Why don't you go and give him a hug? And she like slithered off the sofa and went and hugged Ben, and she cried. And then she looked at me and she went, oh my God, where have I been? You know, and it just seems like such a human thing for us to carry things through time and to imagine the future and live with such little presence in the now. We're all doing this. We all do this. But it seems like once you start to catch on to this trick, once you wake up to that trick, it's like, oh shit, there I go again. And you can laugh at yourself. You know, and life becomes less serious and you find more humor in it.
Yeah, and then also, you know, for me, realizing that is like just in this moment, I just realized when you were talking, I tend to be judgmental with people that lose their shit. Because it's not part of my normal typical thing, right? And I just, as you were realizing, I'm like, how interesting, right? Because this experience in the desk, you know, I'm pounding the fist and the whole thing. I was like, well, I was really upset. And it just felt like in that moment, I couldn't help myself because I was so upset. But in this moment, speaking with you, I just felt a little more compassion. And I just wonder if my habit of being judgmental with people that get angry, like, I wonder what's going to happen to that, you know? Just as you were talking, I was like, I do have a tendency to like judge people and, you know, that get angry. And how wonderful that this thing happened to me, because I was so compelled. It felt so emotional to me. And so this is what I mean about, I was not trying to have this insight right now, but life shows up and I'm able to notice something, you know? And I know that that's true for everyone, that can happen at any time. And so we're always in the presence of the moment. And in the moment, there is the possibility of a great gift.
And it always keeps you on your toes.
It keeps me on my toes, keeps me humble. Keeps me humble, I tell you.
Rusty's literally just bitten me. He's come in and he's livid. He's just bitten my thumb. So forgive me if I pulled a funny face.
I just wanted to ask Gab, I don't know if you can, there's a story you told. I don't know if we got it on video or you told it when we were facilitating with you, about a young girl that was in prison for murder or attempted murder.
Yes.
You tell. I love it when you tell that. And
Tell that story. That's a great story. Yes. Did you meet her, Jen? No, you did not meet her. Did you? No. Well, I worked at juvenile hall. Juvenile hall it's an adult. It's a jail for kids, and so there was this one kid. She was a double red, so she probably had a murder or attempted murder or something like that. And her birthday was one day before my birthday, and so, you know, after you spend so much time with a kid like that, and had deep conversations and, you know, joke and we laugh and we play together. And I get close, you know, I just got close to this kid. And so anyway, before they transported her to adult jail, I went to buy her some flowers for her birthday. And the flowers, the name of the flowers were Freedom. But I just grabbed the flowers, you know, in the supermarket, took them to her and gave them to her. And she noticed the name and she goes, "Do you think they're going to release me?" And she was looking at, you know, some serious time. And in that moment, that's been probably one of the most difficult moments of my life, because I just sort of felt like there was a spot.
Give Gabby a moment. So I was just writing something down that when Gabby gets back, I'd like to. We're coming close anyway. I was losing all track of time. Done well losing track of time today.
I'm wondering if her iPad's run out of battery because she sat outside, wasn't she?
Yeah, I was wondering that. She'll be running around now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'll see if she says anything on the Facebook as well.
Have people enjoyed this retreat? Cool. Layla, your hands up.
I've really enjoyed this retreat. I've surprised myself, because I think before the weekend I thought, oh, freedom thinking, like the 3 principles, what even is it about? And like, oh, it's not for me. And I don't get everything, because like not everything sits with you like quite like, do you know what I mean? Like, it takes a while to digest things, but
yeah,
I've been really surprised, so thank you very much.
No, Layla, thank you. And can you hear me? Yeah, thank you, love. Like I said, when I said it means a lot that you're here, it means a lot to me that you're here. You know, and I know the reason why I do this work, and the reason why Jen does this work and Gabby does this work, and the reason why Louise does this work, who's on this screen now, and I think other people that do this work, the reason why they do this work is because they have found something that once it was realized, it didn't just kind of, it wasn't just like a sticking plaster on a broken leg. It was a full-on reconstruction of the leg and then getting up and doing a marathon for life. It's like we discovered something that we absolutely know without doubt, and we know this is the thing, we know this, there is nobody can shake me on this fact, that I know that within everybody is the capacity for peace, love and happiness and a beautiful life. I know that. In fact, it's one of the only things that I actually know. But I know it. I know it because I found it within myself. And in that moment of finding it within myself and realizing how special I actually am was the same realization of how special everybody else is, because we're all made of the same thing. So without doubt, nobody will ever move me on this. People pull out the bag, they try it on, they try and big themselves up to be the world's most broken person. This is all an ego trip. And I know it's an ego trip. That's the thing. I know it's an ego trip. It's not to say people genuinely don't suffer. Yeah, people do genuinely suffer. That's true. And I suffer. Do you know what I mean? I suffer. I go in and out of all kinds of feeling states, and I'm a human being. This is part of being human. But I know that it's within, if somebody hears something from within themselves, it could be something that somebody has said. But, if you were to talk about anything that shifted you, there was this little thing that I heard, maybe, I don't know, Dickens said it, maybe Jenny said it, maybe I said it, maybe somebody on the screen said it, maybe Gabby said it, whatever. It's like, but then you ask everybody else, did you hear that? Did you hear the magnitude of that point? They'll go, no. No, do you know what I heard? I heard this. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then it must have come from within ourselves, that realization. And I think that's a beautiful thing to start to wake up to, that we are the ones setting ourselves free. Godel, the man in South Africa, the refugee who I was speaking about, who was physically disabled, who was training to be a Catholic priest, but couldn't because he was crippled. He said, it's not his words, but he lined it all up and he said, we are the ones. I am the one that I have been searching for. We are the ones that we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are our own saviors. We are our own salvation. And I think I love it. I love it, Layla. And I hear it in your voice. I hear a lightness in your voice. And that lightness, love, it doesn't matter what experience you go into, no matter how scary, love. It doesn't matter how scary. We are not infallible in this experiential game, in terms of we will experience all kinds of, when you've been around this, I've been around this 9 years, I go in and out of all kinds of feeling states. And sometimes I get upset, sometimes I get pissed off, sometimes I get worried. But it's like, once you've got a glimpse of it, you come back quicker. You just come back quicker. You don't hold on to it as much. You tend to stay out of the future and the past far more. You don't tend to beat yourself up for what happened yesterday or the day before. You don't hold on to something like some breakdown that happened a couple of weeks ago. You leave it where it was. You're far more present. You find yourself far more present. And the person who finds himself far more present is somebody who's truly engaging with life. And somebody who's starting to wake up to realize there is nothing to be afraid of. Who was it? I think it was Deb. She's gone. Deb said, the fact that we're sat here now shows that we've got through every single challenging time and worry in our lifetime. We got through it. We did it. We made it. We were always going to make it. And we're going to continue to make it.
I think, sorry.
No, go, love, go.
I think one of the things, though, that I'm wanting to come to kind of enjoy is actually enjoying going through the moments and enjoying being here rather than just going through the moments, if that makes sense. Like, and I know that you still get angry and sad and all of those things and frustrated and all everything in between, but just kind of knowing that I'm here and I'm liking being here. So
Cool.
yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Cool, you've got it. You're here now. There's nothing to aim for. You're already there. Look, we
Okay.
see how we go into time. We see how we're getting lost in time again. Oh, it's all
Yeah.
going to be in the future. No, look at the moment. Look at the moment.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
all right. It's all right now. You've done it. You are doing what you set out to do. You're here now and you're doing it.
I'm such a last minute speaker. I've not spoken all weekend, and then like it's past 5:30 on the last day and I'm speaking. So
Well, perhaps you just needed to hear to begin with. You just listened, and that's a beautiful thing, love. And I respect you for continually turning up. Because I know it's been challenging for you. I know it's been challenging, but I deeply respect you for turning up. I deeply respect you for turning up.
thank you.
Seriously. Mad props. Mad props. No, bless you, love. And we will continue to have conversations. Is that right, Gabby? Is that on here? No. Jen? Is that Gabby? Are we doing it like that? Do I do something? I'm just going to pause the recording. This would be really boring to people. I'm back again. There's just something Gabby said. If nobody minds, I'd just like to read. It was just something that came to me when she said, you know, as I was listening to you, Dave, it just occurred to me that I have real judgment for people who get angry. And what came to me was, when she said that, what occurred to me was, we think we know what's best for us to learn. But really, what we need to learn, we haven't, see, this is me writing down really quickly. We won't already have seen. What we really need to learn, we won't already have seen. That is why when we have insight, it looks so simple and so surprising. The divine intelligence knows better than our intellect. That's what happens. It's like when somebody can say something and all of a sudden it's like, I wasn't even speaking about that, but what Gabby heard within herself was, oh wow, I get really angry. And then she said, oh, it's because of that. And it's like, we all do this. It's like, this is how it works. It's like insight comes in a flash of a moment. And you're so surprised when it comes in, like, wow, I've never seen that about myself before. Well, I've never seen that about myself before. And all of a sudden your ego, what's really happening is your ego is being revealed to you. Your ego is being revealed. And as it gets revealed, it's like, oh, wow. You start to understand why you perhaps behaved in a certain way, why you've been that way. Perhaps it's a character trait you've not even been aware of. But you start to see the character of it. It's a character, it's a play, it's somebody pretending to be somebody that they're not. That's what the ego is. Us pretending to be somebody we're not. So it's a really fascinating thing, and I just wanted to share that. But Jen, do you want to say anything? Do you want to close this? I just want to say thank you to everybody. Sincere thank you. Thank you to everybody who's made donations. Ange, thanks so much, love. Just real deep thanks to everybody who's made donations, and thank you to people who are taking the time to listen to this, perhaps in the future. Thank you. Means a lot to Jen and I. And just thank you for supporting us and being part of this, because without you lot, this would be no fun whatsoever. Jen?
So I'm just getting back to Gabby. She just says she's so sorry she can't get back on. It just keeps telling her to wait, and then she can't get back in. So I'm just asking, would she be able to just record herself telling that story, and then I'll put that up if she will. I'll put that up on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We're going to finish off that story anyway, but I would love people to hear it if we can get it, even if it's
Well,
when she gets home. But I'll put it with the rest of the retreat recordings if she can do that. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's attended, anyone listening afterwards. Like went this morning, the first morning at like 10:02, and there was no one trying to get in. We're like, oh my god, what if no one turns up? Because I don't do like a list beforehand. I just kind of trust that whoever turns up turns up. So I never know who's coming. And a lot of the people that contacted me had just said we'd like the recordings, so it wouldn't be the same without having people to talk to. So thank you for showing up and giving us your time. Thank you for people that have shared. Thank you for being patient, because obviously we have got Lucia, who sometimes can be noisy, and we've been a bit in and out.
Yeah, thanks for your patience.
Easier than Rusty generally, isn't she? But,
Yeah, thanks for your patience. It's really appreciated. Yeah, we got a high maintenance dog and a baby in somebody else's house. It's mental, but it's fun. Lee and Luke, can't wait to see you next month.
couple of weeks.
Eh?
This month, couple of weeks.
This month, oh, shit, yeah, this
Next
month.
week. It's
Next
actually
week?
next week. We were just saying, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so that's our retreat in Devon. We've got one room left, haven't we? If anybody's interested, we've got one room left. But just
What weekend is it?
It's what weekend is it?
It's actually over 4 days, so it's evening of the 17th through to the evening, the 4 o'clock on the 21st of November.
In Devon.
Ilfracombe.
Oh, nice. I'm actually away for my birthday, but yeah, hope it goes well.
Oh, bless you. Thanks, love. Thank you, love. Have a lovely birthday away. So just, yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Sarah C, thank you, love. Bless you, love.
If people have questions afterwards, you can contact us on info@freedomthinking.co.uk. And if you're watching the recording, again, info@freedomthinking.co.uk.
Yeah, Annette, thanks, loads of love. Katie, we've got Lee and Lou, Ange, we've got Layla, we've got Cal. Right to the end. Look at this, hardcore. Bless you all. Thank you so much. So much love. And keep it to, oh, news, anybody's interested, sign up to our newsletter on Freedom Thinking webpage, freedomthinking.co.uk. At the bottom somewhere, I think there's a newsletter. Sign up to it and you'll get loads of spam. There you are. Right, loads of love, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Sorry,
Bye.
I didn't turn up till now. I didn't know.
I know.